I'm going to show you why a play like this is one of the worst possible entries that you can currently be playing on Prizepicks in 2026, almost guaranteed to lose you money long term. And it is not because four mans, five mans, six mans are better than two mans. It's not because it's not an EV positive play. Even though both of these things are true, the main reason why this is such a bad play is because these guys do not matter to each other at all, right? You have the Lakers and you have the Minnesota Wild. These guys don't affect each other whatsoever, right? You have two separate players playing in two separate cities in two separate sports, right? It doesn't matter whether this is Marcus Smart, doesn't matter whether this is LeBron. These guys do not affect each other whatsoever. All right. One thing that we understand about Prizepicks, we probably all understand this, but you might not have thought of this, is that on Prizepicks, guys, you have to hit everything together, right? If it's a three-man, you have to hit all the three-man plays together. If it's a four-man, you have to hit everything together. I understand that there's flex plays, but for the most part, everything needs to hit together. Whether you go 3-1 or whether you go 1-3, it does not matter because everything needs to hit together to get paid out. Now, before I explain the strategy to actually use to be winning long-term on Prizepicks in 2026, let me explain a little bit why you need to listen to me and what my credentials are here. In 2024, guys, I started my VIP where I give out about 8 to 10 plays every single day, and I started tracking everything very religiously with everything that I sent out. And you will see the performance that we have generated over the past 2 years. We have gone up close to 1,000 units using this exact same strategy and pretty much not straying away from it, right? You will see January 2024 up until now, which is the beginning of May 2026, we have generated 1,000 units. Really incredible results, guys. You might be saying, well, how do I know, right? How do I know? In 2023, here is a video that I posted on this channel, right? This is almost 3 years ago now, and you're seeing that I'm going to be using the exact same strategies and the exact same concepts that I used almost 3 years ago today. Not today, but 3 years ago, I'm using the exact same strategies, right? I'm taking an NFL player like Josh Dobbs, who was the quarterback of the Vikings at the time, and I took him over pass yards, and I took Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson over receiving yards, and I took Aiden O'Connell, who was the quarterback of the Raiders at the time. I took him over, and I took Hunter Renfrow over on that team. And again, it is the same concept that I'm going to be talking today that is still winning us money and will still win you money long-term on Prizepicks as long as you follow the strategies that I'm going to be laying out in today's video, all right? So if that sounds good, stick along. You will learn a lot in today's video about winning on Prizepicks. The main reason why I started this channel back in 2023 is because there are too many people losing money on Prizepicks, and I absolutely hated it, right? I hate when Prizepicks takes money from people. I think it's super predatory, and I just, people's lives are genuinely affected by losing on Prizepicks. They're constantly redepositing. They're constantly having to, scrap up money and be super, super depressed long-term because they are losing sports bettors. And the sad reality of it, guys, is that 97 to 98% of people long-term are losing sports bettors. And I'm teaching you today, I'm going to teach you today how to be a part of that top 1 to 2% of sports bettors long-term, all right? So far this year, guys, me and my VIP are already up 73 units in 2026, and we are also up heavily on sites like Better and on Sleeper as well. You will see in the past 2 weeks, guys, we have hit 16 6x and 10x entries. We went up 75 units in this time frame, and again, all of these entries here are using things that go on year round, right? So a big thing happening right now is the NBA playoffs. You'll see there are very limited NBA plays, right? I maybe took a LeBron entry here and there, but most of these plays are using soccer and using esports like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, and Valorant, which I'm going to be talking about in today's video. All right. So what is the actual strategy? What do we actually use here, right? So I'm sure you guys are familiar with football, right? Everyone loves football. And here we are with the Super Bowl winners, Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith-Njigba. Now, what is different between Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith-Njigba versus an entry like this with Marcus Smart and Jesper, right? What is different is that they're obviously on the same team, right? They have the same jersey. They're both on the Seahawks. They're both Super Bowl winners. And for example, when Sam Darnold has a really good game passing the football, let's say he gets 400 yards in a game, then his number one receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba, is likely also to go over in this game and have a very, very good game. Now, the opposite could be true as well. If Sam Darnold does not have a very good game and he only throws for like 150 yards, then JSN is also probably going to go under. Now, this is true across all NFL and college teams, right? Whether it's Matthew Stafford and Puka, whether it's, a rookie to rookie combination or whether it's a college football combination, this is true across all of football, right? Now, you might be saying, well, we're in the beginning of May. Why does it matter why you're talking to me about football, right? Even though I love football, we can make a ton of money on football long term whenever that season does come around the next couple of months. we do not have football right now. So here is how to actually make money in the spring and summer when football is not going on Prizepicks, and is using my favorite sport right now, which is soccer. All right. And you might not know anything about soccer, guys. You might not know who any of the players are. That is completely fine, right? Here are two soccer players, some of the best soccer players in the world, but it doesn't matter whether you're betting on European soccer, American soccer, Australian soccer, Asian soccer. It really does not matter, guys. What matters is that these two players, similar to the Seahawks players, are on the same team, right? These two players, for example, are on Bayern Munich. But again, it doesn't matter whether you're betting on Bayern Munich versus the New York Red Bulls, right? It does not matter who you're betting on. These same concepts apply. For example, in soccer, here is a soccer formation for these two players, right? You have Joshua Kimmich and you have, I don't even know how to say this guy's name, so I'm just going to call him Oompa, right? So you have both of these guys here literally playing in the exact same position, or very, very close to the exact same position. And how this works, guys, is we are betting on pass attempts, okay? Now, there's a number of ways that you can correlate things in soccer, but my favorite way to do it is with pass attempts, okay? So as you will see here, these guys are literally playing right next to each other. So they are constantly communicating. They're constantly passing back and forth. They're constantly ping-ponging the ball back and forth to each other if they have a lot of possession in that game. And this is exactly how this works, guys. If this team has a lot of possession, right, so they have the ball quite a lot in this game, they are most likely going to go over pass attempts to each other, okay? If this team does not have that much possession, these guys are probably going to go under together. Now, one thing here is obviously I would like to be betting on Kimmich and Oompa here rather than Kimmich and Diaz, for example. Even though this might be a solid play to take both these guys together, look how far Kimmich has to pass the ball to get to Diaz, right? He might just have a handful of passes to Diaz throughout the game, where he probably has dozens and dozens and dozens of passes to his defender down here, right? So these guys are extremely correlated together because these guys play literally the same sort of position on the field. They're playing right next to each other in this formation. And again, I want to reemphasize that this is true with all soccer players across the country, across the world. It doesn't matter, guys. World Cup is coming up in the next, couple of months here, and it's going to be the same sort of concept here in the World Cup because these players are playing in the same sort of position on the same team, right? Now, here's a deep dive of some plays that we have hit recently, as well as some plays that we missed recently, okay? So first and foremost, we have two players on the team Dortmund, right? They're BBB, Borussia Dortmund, and they both went over together. Now, why did they go over together? Because they had a high number of possession in this game. Here's the actual statistics of this game that happened a little bit over a week ago here, and they had 60% possession in this game, right? Here's the team. They had 60% possession, so they possessed the ball a decently high amount in this game. Because they possessed the ball a good amount, they went over passes together because they had high possession, right? And you'll see that both of these guys are defenders. So again, they played very similar positions. They're playing right next to each other. They're passing the ball to each other constantly. And this is why both of these guys went over together. Now, League of Legends also very correlated. I'll be getting into that later in today's video. But what I really want to show is another example of a play here. And here's an example of a loss. Now, if you know about this channel, guys, I love talking about losses. I feel like losses are not talked about enough on Prizepicks. One thing about Prizepicks, guys, is I play a lot of 3 to 4 man entries. A lot of times these are 8.5x, 9x, 10x entries. You're not going to hit every single entry. I don't care what strategy you have. I don't care whether you're the best bettor in the world. You're going to have losing days. You're going to have losing entries. It's part of the game. If you're able to hit every single 9x or 10x ever, that would just be crazy, right? No one would ever think to do that, right? So losses are part of the game. You have to be able to understand and be able to emotionally detach yourself from losses a lot of times. Now, for example, we have two soccer players right here. We have one of the best soccer players ever, if not the best soccer player, Lionel Messi, and we have Rodrigo Paul. Now, obviously, I know who Messi is. I have no idea who Paul is, okay? I've never even heard of this guy before. Maybe I'm some soccer casual. I probably am, but I've never even heard of Paul before. Again, I want to reemphasize, you don't even need to know how soccer works, who these players are, who these teams are. All you need to understand is that I'm sure we've all watched at least one soccer game before, and we understand that there's a lot of passing in soccer, especially with players in similar positions, okay? So, for example, these guys went under together. I took the overs. I thought that these guys would possess the ball a lot more than they did. I was wrong. It happens sometimes in sports betting. You're going to be wrong all the time. For example, why was I wrong? Well, they had 40% possession in this game. So in other words, every single minute that ticked by, they only possessed the ball 40% of the time. So they didn't possess the ball very much, right? This is a really good team in this particular league. They normally possess the ball 60+% of the time, but in this case, they only possess the ball 40% of the time, causing them to only get about half of their line. Look how look how correlated these guys are together, how linked up these guys are together, right? Because this guy had 29 passes, this guy only had 19 passes because they didn't have very much possession in this game. That is why soccer is one of my favorite plays, my favorite, sports to be betting on in today's games, right? For example, you might be like, all right, well, what do I actually do? How do I actually find these plays on soccer? One reason why I love soccer is look how many games going on at all times of the day, everything like that. For example, I was clicking around and I already found a really correlated entry in soccer. It's like the first couple of games. I'm not saying this is the most amazing play ever, but for example, you have this guy going under, over, under, and then you have this guy who is, maybe playing right next to him in this position. And this guy also went under, over, under, right? So these guys have very similar trends. It's like a pattern, right? It's almost like hopscotch, right? You under, over, under, right? Because when this guy has a high possession, these are probably these games right here in the middle. When they have low possession, they have unders together because they didn't possess the ball very much. Now, I'm not saying that these two guys are the most amazing play ever, and I'm not saying that this is some crazy play that you need to jump on and take right away. I'm just saying this right here is a lean, right? I like this play. I'm going to look into them even more, and I'm going to see, how have they done against this team that they're playing? How have they done against other similar opponents? Do they play next to each other in a position? These are all things I want to ask myself, and I want to go deeper into as I'm taking plays like this. Okay, so that is a massive, great way to be making money long-term on Prizepicks. And probably when it comes to September, when it comes to October, we could take a play like this potentially. We could take maybe these guys over because we think they'll have high possession, and maybe we think Sam Darnold and JSN are not going to have a very good game, and we could take these guys under, and this would be a great 4-man entry that would probably pay you out like a 9x or something like that, and we'll go ahead and take this all day of the week. Now, another great way to be making money on Prizepicks is utilizing esports, all right? Now, the difference between esports and soccer is you guys probably already know how soccer works, right? You guys have probably watched a soccer game before. With esports, with League of Legends, Valorant, Counter-Strike, you guys have maybe never watched a game before. I might be wrong, but I also could be right. In esports, what happens is a very similar story here, right? You're betting on two players on the same team, right? And it makes it really easy on Prizepicks because these guys have the same jersey color, right? You have these two guys with the same jersey, you have these two guys with the same jersey, and here's a very good example of correlation in League of Legends. I take two overs together, and both the overs hit. I take two unders together, and the unders hit, right? How League of Legends works particularly is that when a team wins, you're going to have a lot of kills. When a team loses, you're not going to have many kills, right? I'm sure you guys have played some sort of video game at some point in your life. Maybe you played it with a friend, maybe you played it alone. When you're doing very good in a video game, it could even be a first-person shooter, whatever it is. When you're doing very good, you're going to get a lot of stats. You're going to get a lot of kills. You're going to get a lot of, whatever that game entails. Whenever you're doing really bad, you're probably having a bad time. You're probably not getting very many kills, and you're probably, just not having a good time. You're probably going under, right? So that is how League of Legends works as well. Now, with that being said, one of my favorite websites to be looking at this stuff is sofascore.com esports League of Legends, right? So just look up SofaScore LOL or SofaScore League of Legends, and you can click around. Literally, here's a day in April, and let's just click on some of these games, right? The first game that we click on, 7-24. So the team that lost ends up getting 7 kills. The team that wins ends up getting 24 kills, right? Then it was 12-24. So the winning team gets 24. The losing team gets 12. Let's just scroll down and let's just click on some random games here. 29-5, guys. 24-7. All right, let's click on this game. Again, I'm just clicking on random games. 23-5. 27-7. Okay, let's click on this game. 16-24, so not as crazy, but still the winning team is getting more kills than the losing team. 12-23. So hopefully you guys are understanding these highlighted teams. The winning team in this game is getting more kills, 17-10, and then it was 9-21. So on average, the winning team is going to get about 2x to 3x the amount of kills as the losing team does, okay? So when you lose the game, you're going to go under, and when you win the game, you're most likely to go over, and this is true about all of the players playing in this team, right? So again, it's like a rising tide raises all boats. When you win the game, you're going to get more kills. When you lose the game, you're going to get less kills. Very similar to how soccer works. When you have high possession, you're going to probably go overs together, and when you have low possession, you're probably going to go unders together, okay? So hopefully you guys understand that. If you have any questions, my number is going to be down in the description. You can text me. You can also comment, of course. If you guys have been enjoying the video so far today, I ask you to do one of two things. I ask you to do everything, right? I ask you to like the video, comment, of course, if you have a question, and then I do have a free plan on my Winnable. It's completely free. You'll get one free pick a day from me. It'll come through email or text. And a lot of times I'm sending out a completely free entry, whether it's a promo, which is I'm going to have like maybe a Taco Tuesday, for example, on Prizepicks, and I'll have a correlated duo, or I'll just send out a correlated 4-man, for example, completely free, nothing to ask from you other than, I think you got to put in your email address or something in your phone number. And that's how you're going to get texted that play automatically through Winnable, which is where I send out all my VIP picks. Guys, if you're interested in getting my VIP and profiting like this or like this on the year, whatever it is, you can text me. I have a number of apps to sign up for, whether it's Sleeper, Better, Bovada, Underdog Fantasy, Kalshi, Polymarket. So if you don't have any of those apps, or maybe you don't have one of those apps, you can sign up using my code and you can get 1 to 2 months free of my VIP. And again, you can be cashing like this, like we just did over the past 2 weeks, 75 units over the past 2 weeks, guys. Now, in this video out to round out this video, you might be saying, all right, I understand it. I understand the correlation. How do we actually apply this to a Prizepicks entry? All right. So this is my kind of example of a completely clean Prizepicks entry right here. We have a 4-man, which is what I love to take. And a lot of times for a 4-man, guys, you're going to get a 10x. Now, one thing about Prizepicks is they know this a little bit. They're keyed in a little bit. And a lot of times what they will do is they'll payout shift you down to an 8.5 or a 9x. All right. And do not overcomplicate this, guys. It's really not that big of a deal. My rule of thumb, as long as it's an 8.5x or higher, I like the entry. I'm going to take the entry most of the time. And you're going to see some of these wins, guys. You're going to see me taking some 8.5x's, for example. I believe this one was an 8.5x. It was 8.75x. I don't want to go through all this, but I'm taking some 8.5x. It's a good play, and it's 8.5x. I like it, right? If it's a 9x, it's obviously better. If it's a 10x, it's even better. But really solid entries there. Now, with that being said, here's a 4-man, right? For example, we're not going to reinvent the wheel, right? For example, we might have a soccer player. We might have soccer player number 1, right? Number 1 here. And we might think that they have high possession. So we're going to go ahead and take them over, right? And then soccer player number 2, right? They're playing a similar position. Maybe this is the defender and this is the midfielder. And we're going to take them over together. And this is going to be our first kind of duo of the 4-man. And then let's say in League of Legends, we think a team's going to lose the game. So we think they're going to have a bad game. They're going to lose together. And we have League of Legends player 1 and we have League of Legends player 2, and we're going to take them under together, right? So this is going to be our second part of the duo, of the 4-man right here. So we have 2 duos together. We have these soccer players, soccer team number 1, and we have 2 players on that team to go over together. And then we have a League of Legends players to go under together, right? And this is going to be a great 4-man. Let's say we get an 8.5x or a 9.5x. I'll take this all day of the week, right? Now, ending this video off, why is this the most important concept to understand on Prizepicks, all right? If we go back to the original play that I talked about here, we need 2 things to happen. And if you guys have ever played 3, 4, 5, 6 mans on Prizepicks, you guys know how hard it is to get things to hit, to get things to happen, right? For Marcus Smart, we need Marcus Smart to go over rebounds, assists. So this is one thing we need to go our way. This is the second thing we need to go our way. We need this guy to go over goalie saves. So we need 2 separate things in an entry like this to happen and go the correct way for us. We need 2 things to go correctly for us. Now in this example, we still need only 2 things to go correctly for for us, right? We need a high number of possession. In this case, we need a high number of possession from this soccer team, whatever we end up betting on. And then we need a losing game. We need a loss from this League of Legends team. And if these 2 things happen together, if a loss happens and if high possession happens, then we will likely hit our entry. So instead of 4 separate things needing to happen together with a 4-man, we need 1, 2, 3, 4 things happening with an NHL game and a League of Legends game and an NBA game and an NFL game. Instead of 4 separate things needing to happen, we really only need 2 things needing to happen. We need high possession and we need a loss from this League of Legends team. And if that happens, we have an opportunity to get a 9x or a 10x entry. So hopefully you guys understand why that's so important. And again, not everything is going to hit all the time, right? If a high possession game happens, maybe someone gets taken out of the game early or something, guys. Stuff happens in sports betting. But over a long period of time, and if you take 6, 7, 8 entries like this every single day, I can almost guarantee that you will win long-term on Prizepicks, and you will, most importantly, stop losing money on Prizepicks, and you can start building that bankroll and start making hundreds, thousands of dollars a month on Prizepicks utilizing this strategy that I just laid out for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and I'll see you guys later.